Welcome. My name is Lydia Snyder. I'm going to be facilitating a half-hour map-based practice. And I just wanted to let anyone who's watching know that in order to get credit through the LMHF program, you need to watch this video in its entirety and then leave a comment with your name at the end of the video. And the videos will be monitored, so your comments will be removed in a short period of time, but that's a way to ensure that you're getting the content and being able to get credit for your participation. So thank you. This map-based practice, if you have been to any sessions in person before COVID, you might be familiar. We'll start on the ground, we'll do some movement here, we'll come up to stand, and then we'll return back to the ground for relaxation. So I do the whole class with you. What I'm doing may look different from what makes sense for your body. So pay attention to your own sensations, your own capacity, and know that this is time that's meant for you to take a step away from your routine and to maybe allow yourself a chance to notice what's happening in your own body. So with that, you're all welcome to find a seat down on your mat or on a carpet where you find yourself. I'm sitting with my legs crossed, but you might choose to stretch them out instead. So maybe trying out a couple different ways of sitting to come into what might be called a seated mountain form, where you have that foundation at your seat and that ability to lift through the torso and the top of your head. So you might choose to close the eyes, but begin to tune in to where you are, maybe moving the body from right to left, starting to roll that weight from side to side. And side to side is just one way of moving. It might make sense for you to try and explore a forward movement and back. When you feel like you might be ready, you can begin to rotate, beginning to circle the upper body at a pace that works for you. So you might want to be moving quicker than I am, and that's an option. And hands down on the knees is a way of giving some support. And if you feel strong and you feel secure, you can try lifting the hands and beginning that circular motion without the support. And if you still want it to go from there, you might raise your hands up overhead, beginning to increase the amount of support that you need to move your body. And then when you're ready, you can just switch direction. So reversing that, coming around in the opposite direction, stretching through the sides, the back, and the front of your body. And then coming to center, maybe bringing the arms out, to your sides, and reaching up and letting the arms come down. And you might do this with the breath. You might reach up and lower down. Keep in mind, your hands might not touch. You might raise your arms to here, and that feels more accessible for you. Maybe two more. And one more. And then bringing the arms down, turning the palms, bringing the arms out in front, and reaching forward as you tuck your chin and round your spine. Exhaling here perhaps. And then when you're ready to inhale, you might open the arms. Arch the back, lift the chin, and move between these 2 points. Bringing as much motion as you choose. And maybe it makes sense to pause and take a few breaths, either reaching back or reaching forward. Breathing here. And then coming back to center. You're welcome to take your right hand, walk it out away from your right hip, let your palm come down, and then try circling that left shoulder up looping around, opening up a little bit in the left shoulder and maybe having some extension in the front of your body. And you might begin to bend and straighten the right elbow. As the arm bends, you're bringing more stretch to the left side of your body. And you might choose to just move in this way, to bend the elbow and straighten. But you can also lift that left arm up, stretching through the left side. Staying in the stillness if you like, but you can always move. So there's no expectation around stillness here. It might be that the best way for you to explore is to move. And then coming through center, you have the option to walk the left arm out, away from the left hip. And the same thing on this side, maybe circling that right shoulder around and just seeing what it feels like. If there's any awareness in the front of your chest or your shoulder. And the option here is to bend and straighten the left arm. So whether your eyes are opened or closed, having that chance to notice. Option to lift your right arm up and maybe reach over. So recalling that there's always that fine tuning. Maybe 2 more and 1 more. And then coming through center. And we'll transition to a tabletop form. And what that means is that your palms are under your shoulders and your knees are under your hips. If your knees are sore, give you any kind of grief, you can always roll your mat or towel for a little extra cushion in case your knees bother you. And as far as the wrists go, if your wrists are sore, you can always try coming down onto your forearms. So from this tabletop form, you're welcome to do a little cow-cat breathing. And the cow part, your belly drops as you inhale, lifting the chin, arching the spine. And then as you exhale, you draw the belly up towards the spine, tuck the chin, push the ground away from you. And you find your continuum of movement here. If you feel inclined to move a little more, you might circle the body a bit. Circle the hips, stretch through the ribs. And you can make this as large or as small as you choose. And if you are circling, you might reverse direction then. Coming back to center, and then taking the right leg behind you, pressing down into the ball of your foot, and you might choose to pulse, pressing back and forward. Option to lift that right leg in line with your body, maybe circle at the ankle in both directions, pressing through your heel and coming down. Perhaps exploring the opposite leg, pressing into the ball of your left leg, pulsing if that makes sense for you, and then perhaps lifting, extending through your heel. And you have the option then to alternate legs, lifting and lowering, but you might also want to add in your opposite arm, something called a sunbird. And you can lift and maintain the lift, or you can draw your elbow towards your knee and re-engage. So you're working in a way that makes sense for you. And then you can try the opposite side, just seeing what it feels like, knowing you can do one leg without arms, but you're exploring. Resting back into tabletop, bringing the feet together, and finding a child's form. And what that means is that your seat comes back by your feet, and you rest your head. And that might mean the elbows come down, and you let your forehead rest in your palms. But if there's more mobility, you can also stack the fists and rest the forehead that way. Or maybe your body allows the forehead to rest on the floor. And wherever you find yourself here, the idea is to find support. To not have to hold the body up. To allow the floor, your hands, a prop, to give you a little support. And then coming through center, you might turn your feet under and press up for downward facing dog, keeping the knees bent, lifting the seat up by the ceiling. And you're welcome to pedal the feet out here, right and left, dropping your heels. Remember, if you're in downward facing dog and you feel like it's too much, you can come back and take a breath. Come to tabletop. If you choose, re-engage. And the option here is to either walk the hands back towards the feet or the feet up towards the hands and find a forward fold. As you forward fold, keeping a soft bend in the knees can be useful. Can help cushion a little bit of the upper hamstrings. And if you wanted to stay in this forward fold, you can cross your arms. Maybe shift your weight from side to side. If being folded in this way is not working for you, remember you can always rise up. And we can all meet standing up, pressing through the feet to rise, and coming to your mat to stand in what's sometimes known as standing mountain. It's that same idea of a foundation that allows you to feel secure and that can let you lift through the rest of the body. And as you come to stand at the soles of both of your feet, you can try lifting your toes, and maybe lifting your heels. You're shifting the weight forward and backward. If that feels like too much, keep the feet flat and simply move the hips to shift the weight. And if it feels very accessible for you, you can rise up, lift the arms, and bend the knees and reach back. So taking it to a point that makes sense for you. Maybe one more. And coming back to center. Taking a wide stance with both feet, but one where you still feel supported. We'll begin to turn from side to side. And you can do this in whatever way makes sense for you. Swinging the arms, keeping the arms in close to the body. But as you turn to the left, try lifting the right heel. As you turn to the right, try lifting the left heel. Giving a little bit of space again to your spine. Letting this movement happen in a way that feels right for you. And coming back to center, drawing the feet back under the hips, and from the front of your mat so that you have room to step back depending on how long your legs are, you'll take the right foot and step back and drop the heel in. The weight is supported in both legs. Your shoulders are above the hips. And if you feel ready, you can bend that front knee, bringing both arms up, coming into a warrior one form. And reaching the arms up is one way. Arms out like goalposts or a cactus is another. And remember, you can always find movement. So you might choose to bend and straighten the knee. Keep the arms moving. Or maybe you want to close the eyes and find stillness. Your own way of experiencing this form. When you feel ready, straightening the front leg, bringing your arms to rest on the back side of your body, rebending that front knee, and hinging from the hips to bring the body forward for Humble Warrior. Again, staying in the fold if it works for you, but finding movement if you prefer. Maybe for 3, and 2, and 1. Pushing through the feet, rising up, stepping back into that standing mountain form. And maybe feeling what's happening with your body. And then when you feel ready, you can lift the left leg, step back, drop that heel in, bending the front knee, but try not to let it go past your ankle. Noticing the alignment of your shoulders and your hips. And should you choose, raising the arms up. Remembering cactus or goalpost. And then deciding movement or stillness. Eyes opened or closed. Maybe for 3, and 2, and 1. Rising up, straightening the front leg, hands can rest at the back side of your body, rebending that front knee, and coming forward for Humble Warrior. Again, your own way of experiencing this. You might find yourself at this point, and that is where your Humble Warrior might begin. Breathing wherever you find yourself. Rising up by pushing through the feet when you're ready. And stepping back into standing mountain. Arms down by the sides. Breathing here. Maybe for 3, and 2, and 1. Keeping your feet in this kind of railroad track orientation here. You're going to step a little bit wider, soften the knees, bring the arms out in front for chair. So from the side, your seat is going back, your knees are staying upright, your seat is going back. So you might bend a little and reach your arms out here. Or you might bend a lot and start from the bottom and reach up. But it's your way of being in chair. So squeezing the belly towards the spine, staying in this chair form as you choose, and then pushing up, stretching through the front of your body, and then depending on how you feel, maybe doing another round. Finding that chair, and maybe for your body it makes sense to keep the hands rested for some support. But you can reach them out. You can bring them out to the side if you want. You can raise them up. Maybe for 3, and 2, and 1. Push through to rise. Let the arms come down. And then we'll work towards tree. So finding that standing mountain form. Supporting your weight in both legs. And then coming onto the ball of the right foot. Opening the right knee out to the side. And deciding, does it make sense for you to keep your foot right where it is? Is that what feels the most supportive? Or if you want, you can draw it in. Rest the ankles and the heels. You could also lift, bringing your foot to your calf. I usually say to avoid the knee area, so if you wanted to, you could bring it all the way up as well. But there's lots of options. So finding the placement that makes sense for your body. And then maybe bringing the hands into the center line, finding a little bit of pressure there. If you fall to the right or the left, you just come back in. And you can rebuild that tree form, however it makes sense for your body. Hands can press, they can reach up. You might want to move here a little bit. You might want stillness. It's your choice to explore. Lots of foot positions, arm positions as you breathe. Maybe for 3 and 2 and 1. Coming down. If you feel a little tightness in your seat, you can shift your weight from side to side. And then bring that weight into both legs. You're welcome to come onto the ball of the left foot. And again, keep it where it is or draw it in. On the floor or lift. And hands can come to the center line. And you might choose to keep them there or lift overhead as you explore a tree form. Noticing what it feels like in your body, making modifications that make sense for you, maybe for 3 and 2 and 1. Both feet come down to the floor, and you're welcome to find your way down to your mat to rest. Let the feet stretch behind you, and you might stack your arms to rest your forehead, but you might choose to look to the right or the left instead. And as you come down onto the floor, onto your belly, there's a new way of experiencing the breath. So you might notice the subtle movements in your rib cage, maybe your belly. And then lifting the head, bringing the hands out to the sides of the ribs and resting the forehead on the mat if that's possible for you. When you feel ready to inhale, explore lifting the face and chest and lowering down. So you might lift and lower. But you might also choose to lift and remain in that lift. Noticing sensation, whether your eyes are opened or closed, movement or stillness. And if anyone wanted, you could also lift your hands without having to support it to palms. Maybe for 3 and 2 and 1, find your resting spot again. Notice the breath. And then you might try bending at the knees, lifting each leg, bringing it back down, straightening the legs, and then coming up onto the forearm so that your elbow is under your shoulder and you're pressing down into the forearms. And so try shrugging the shoulders here a little bit just to get into that space between the ears and the shoulders. And then as your body allows, you can press and begin to lift the upper body. Coming into a bit of a back bend here. Staying with the lift if you like, but maybe you want to move. Maybe you want to kind of find your way in and out of this form. Perhaps 2 more breaths. And 1 more. And releasing down. And allowing yourself to move to come to a seated form. Bringing the soles of the feet towards one another. Having as much space between the legs as your body needs. You might try tucking the chin and rolling the spine backwards. And then coming forward. So this is another one where you might use your hands to support your head in some way. It might be that your body proportions keep you more upright. But as you tuck your chin, you're welcome to explore this rounding of the spine. Maybe for 3, and 2, and 1. Rising up, and then coming to lie down on your back with knees bent. Another way of experiencing the breath. Letting the back of your body rest. Breathing here. Eyes opened or closed. And then you're welcome to take your right leg and stretch the sole of your right foot up towards the ceiling, keeping in mind a bent knee might make more sense for you. And then allow yourself to lower your right leg as close to the ground as your body allows, pressing into the low back, keeping the low back engaged and pressed against the ground. And when your leg gets as close to the ground as your body allows, try lifting it up again and re-engaging. We're going to do 5 of these as an option. So as close to the floor as possible, letting it hover, lifting. And remember, if you've done 2 of these and that's enough for you, that's okay. Engaging through the midsection here. Perhaps 1 more. And then you're welcome to explore this on the left. Stretching through the sole of the foot, lowering down, seeing where your leg might land as close to the floor as possible, and lifting. And you might do 5 on this side, keeping that engagement through the midsection of the body. And for anyone who wants, you can also maybe do 5 where you extend and you switch, and you extend and you switch. The lower you switch to the ground, the more you're asking of your core. And then bring both feet flat to the ground. Release that engagement in your midsection. And maybe press the low back down and begin to lift your hips for what's sometimes known as bridge. So the seat lifts, the low back lifts, the mid back lifts, and you might stay in this lift, but you might also choose to move. Maybe for 3, and 2, and 1. Lowering down, bringing the knees together to touch, walking the feet out, either to the edges of your mat or towel or beyond. Arms can rest like a T. And you explore windshield wipering the legs, dropping the knees to the left, coming through center and dropping them to the right. Maybe you want to take a few breaths on one side. If your knees drop to the left, you can inhale that right arm up and overhead. Press into the back of the right hand. See what you notice. And switching sides when you're ready. Allowing for that asymmetry, that difference on the right and left. Noticing without judgment. And then coming back through center. You're welcome to rest on your back. Let your legs stretch out, let your arms stretch out. But you might also choose to sit up as we move towards the resting segment of class. Finding your breath, noticing the pace, acknowledging your practice, your willingness to breathe and move, and hopefully go about your day and enjoy it. Thank you.